All right, everybody, welcome back to On the Roof. Today's a real treat for me. We have a tremendous guest, a good friend of mine, and the writer of the Oscar-winning movie of 2008. I guess it's 18, right?
Brian? 2018, yeah, and I have to give credit to Nick Bellonger and Peter Farrelly as well.
I just want to introduce
great guy.
Great writer, great friend, great man, Brian Currie. Welcome, Brian.
Thank you, Scotty. I appreciate it. Good to see you, my friend. We go way, way back, don't we? It's great to see you.
We certainly have shared some laughs, that's for sure.
Yes, we have.
First of all, before we even get going, I just want to say to you, man, how happy I am for you to get a moment like this. How as hard as you've worked over the years, and as diligently as you've consistently chased your dream, to see you get this kind of recognition, beautiful.
I really appreciate that. My mother used to have a saying. She used to say, by perseverance, the snail reached the ark. And I'll tell you, I took the snail's route. I mean, it's interesting. When I started writing, I was lucky initially, and I sold a lot of screenplays, but they didn't become movies. And but it can get you by. But you obviously, of course, want a movie to be made. Then my mother got Alzheimer's. And in fact, you visited me at my house. Remember back then?
Sure.
Back in Peabody.
Yeah.
And so for 10 years, I was back in Massachusetts making sure that Ma Currie was okay. And so when I got back, I said, the one thing that changed, my whole mood changed after she passed away. And I thought, it's a collaborative business. I want to work with friends. I want to work with nice people. I really, honestly, I know it sounds, cliche, but I just wanted to work with nice people, and that's one of the reasons why I called Peter Farrelly first. It's one of the reasons why I called him Nick. I was like, I want to do good projects with good people and not deal with the Hollywood, garbage. Just the usual, I'll get you later, and what can you do for me lately, and all this other stuff.
Yeah, that's one thing we both
and it worked out.
How L.A. is, man. It's just like, it's a grind,
It is. It can be a grind, and it's such a collaborative business. You're seeing people every day, and every single person on that set, I really do believe that they became like family to us. And I think if you took one person off, if you took the sound guys off, if you took the PA off, if you changed one element, who knows where it would have gone? Everyone was a team.
Right?
We actually would work 14, 16-hour days. And then go, hey, what are we doing afterwards? Where are we going? A couple of drinks. So we're going for dinner. That's how good a friendship we had on that set with the Tara and Jordy, who were makeup and hair, Shecky for sound. Awesome people. Really, really great people. Everyone who said that Vigo in rehearsal. Nicest guys you'll ever want to work with.
Yeah.
Easygoing, collaborative. I enjoyed the whole process. It was enjoyable right up to the last gun was fired.
Yeah.
We still speak to each other and email each other and how you doing and care about each other's family. It's rare. It was rare, and it was great.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I mean, we could wax, forever just on your colorful life up to this point. But I really want to stay on this because it was such a brilliant piece of work, man. It was like the subtleties that I just watched it again. And it was like watching it for the first time because I caught so much. And the writing, I think, was profound. I wanted to ask you how the idea started. Like, where did it come from? How did you guys team up and say it's going to be us to do this? How did that come about?
I've known Nick Bellonger, Tony Lift's son, for a long time.
Right.
He and I used to work nightclubs together, and we used to, we knew each other for 30 years.
Right.
And his father would, but along the way, we're all doing what you do in Hollywood. You're doing auditions, you're trying to do small movies. Nick was directing small movies. He'd always have his father come to the set and be in it. because his father was in little roles in The Sopranos.
Sopranos, right.
And also, he had big roles in Sopranos, but he
Right.
had roles in The Pope of Greenwich Village and Goodfellas and Nick actually
You're
was
rolling
in
off some classics right there, man.
Yeah. I mean, his father's in all those. Nick is actually running around. He's the kid. He and his brother are the kids running around with The Godfather, the first Godfather.
Wow.
That's Nick Dexter's running around, and his father is actually in it. Doesn't say any lines, but he's got such a interesting face that he was in it a lot. You see him once you know the guy, you go, holy shit, there he is. And so, anyways, I got to know the father, who was a real interesting guy. But that having been said, we had never talked, we had never spoken about this trip. I knew nothing about it. Now I come back from taking care of my mother. She had just passed away. Nick and I are having coffee on Ventura Boulevard. And just while I'm getting up to leave, he says, by the way, did I ever tell you the story about my father driving a concert pianist around, Dr. Shirley? And I was like, no, hold on a second. I know you haven't. And he said, oh, yeah, it was great. He started telling his story. And I said, Nick, let me run with this. This is just a tremendous story. And he goes, oh, I have a storage facility that has, my father speaking about it. I go, no, we've known each other for 25, never even heard the story before. He said, oh, yeah, let me tell you about it. He goes, I was waiting for them to pass away to do the story, and they have now, both of them, Dr. Shirley and his father, died within months of each other in 2013. Yeah. Right. So he's like, now's the time. It was 2015 at the time. And I said, fantastic. So he told me the story, showed me the clips, he showed me the newspaper articles and the pictures. And I said to myself, sticking with the nice guy thing, I said, Pete Fairley, I got to go tell Pete this. And Pete lives in Ojai. He's one of the last guys on the planet who didn't have a cell phone. So I drive up to Ojai. And I didn't want to do it like a natural pitch. I didn't want to just sit there and say, Pete, the next one. I just was telling stories. We're talking stories. And I said, I just had an interesting conversation with Nick. What do you think of this idea? He and I are going to write it together. He loved it. And he called me after that for a long time. Like, Rod, are we doing this? We doing this? And I was still trying to get more information from Nick so I could get the story down straight. And then finally I said, let's all meet in Beverly Hills is it Nate Nels? I think it was Nate Nels. In Beverly Hills at the diner. And we all sat together. And Nick always wanted to direct this and make it with, as he said, with an iPhone and a meatball sub. And he's like, he listened to Pete. His father had just passed away, and it was very emotional. The whole diner, it was a very emotional scene there in the diner. And we said, let's do it. Let's all do it together. We will write it. We will produce it. Pete will direct it. And let's see where we can go with this. And that's where it all, right from that it started.
When Nick's telling you the story, did you see like that whole, obviously the racial element comes into play, right? But did you see that as one of the storylines, as well as some of like the lessons? There's just so much, there's so many things going on.
Well, Scott, it's interesting. One of the many things that attracted me was the music, because my mother was a classically trained pianist, and Chopin was her thing. And he's like, when I started looking at Dr. Shirley, that was, he was classically trained. He got pigeonholed into jazz and stuff because Capitol Records and the other companies said, listen, but the music was incredible, and I was like, okay, first of all, I love the music aspect of it. Second of all, yes, they're different. Their skin color is different, but also their education, the diversity in education. You got one guy with a 6th grade education, the other guy's got 3 PhDs, 3 doctorates and speaks 8 languages. There's also an economic difference between these two guys. One guy's, eating hot dog contest. That contest, by the way, interesting. That hot dog eating contest was actually with the guy he had the hot dog eating contest with. That Johnny Roast Beef used to eat hot dogs with Tony though. Yeah. So, and almost everybody in the cast knew Tony. Look, the guy who says we're a very arty family.
Yeah.
That's Nick Bell. That's Tony Lipp's son saying that. The actor who played that part was Tony.
Is that
no?
Nick?
Well, Nick is his son, and the other one. Well, Nick. He's this. Now, Nick played Augie, the mafia kingpin who says, "Hey, you need some extra money, do a job." He's eating He's eating during that scene, and Vigo comes in. They go, "Hey, Augie wants to talk to you."
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's Nick. That's
Okay.
Tony Lip's son. Tony Lip's other son is Frank. Frank's the guy that said, "We're an Artie family," right?
Yeah.
That's Tony Lip's son. The
Okay.
old guys are, one of the old guys is Tony Lip's brother in real life.
Okay.
And the other old guy is Dolores's, Nick's mother, Tony Lip's wife.
Yeah.
His brother. So everybody except for Maniscalco and Vigo are family members. It's crazy. I mean, really.
And was that done? Was that done intentionally? Like you wanted to do that, or it worked out?
No, that's it worked. No, it was done. We meant to do that.
Yeah,
and those guys didn't read the part. It was like, let's make it as family and real and comfortable. Even the guy that got hit in the beginning, the guy got punched like, "Don't touch me, you punk," that guy.
Yeah.
He knew Tony Lip. He knew he was an actor out here for years. Now he lives in Florida. We brought him back because he was friends with Tony Lip for 20 years. So, let's bring him in.
Yeah.
The other guy that took the money and said, "I thought you were going to kill him," the bouncer guy, Carmine.
Right.
He knew. So he used to be Tony Lip. He drove Tony Lip around. So everybody knew each other. It was like a family on that set.
You know what I was thinking about too, because this guy had to have a colorful life way beyond that story, right? Just working in the Copa in that position that he was in. I met a lot of these old guys from his era. Like when I was doing this boxing project, we talked about, one time. And one guy was like a maitre d' at the Copa. And there's so many stories just from that part that everyone that worked there has, right? So to pick this one. Yeah. I'm just saying to pick this story out. It's wild.
Well, it's applicable to the times right now where there's just a lot. There seems to be a lot of division in the country. In black and white, and that's one thing that's also obviously very contemporary about it that needs to be done. But also, it just I don't know. It just seemed the right way. I mean, it's interesting. Tony Lip. One of his many stories you could have done was he was a hairdresser for the Rockettes. Well, he came out of the Army, got drafted by the Dodgers. He was a good baseball player, Gesundheit.
Thank you.
And didn't play baseball, ended up being a hairdresser for the. He was a character. This guy lived a wild life because he lived on the streets.
Excuse me.
He was a good time. He grew up across the street from the Gaudis, so he knew all the wise guys. They always wanted him to do wise guy stuff. Once he got married, he said, "I'm never doing that stuff. I'm in love with Dolores. I don't want to go spend my life in jail." And so he had a million stories. He's seen it all. He was very close with Bobby Darin. Very close with Bobby Darin. Yeah. Very close with Tom Jones. Very close with Don Rickles.
Wow.
I mean, he was.
I did notice at the end in the credits, like right before the credits, when they showed the pictures with people from there was the one with Rickles.
Well, it's funny. So one night, I'm writing something for Paramount Studios, a guy named Jim Jacks. Jim Jacks used to like to go to Dan Tanner's.
Yeah.
And West Oregon.
Yeah.
So I go, Jim, would you want to meet Carmine, the guy in The Sopranos, Tony Lip? And he goes, "Oh, I'd love to do it. I'd love to meet him. So I go, "All right, we'll sit at the bar. He'll come in. We'll have dinner." He's all excited. Jim is big. Now Jim did, he's done big movies, great guy, but for some reason he had an obsession with Tony Lip.
Okay.
This was 15 years ago. Tony comes walking in, sees us, but in the corner at the Wasserman table is Alan King and Don Rickles just having dinner. And they go, "Tony Lip, what are you doing out here in Los Angeles?" He went over and ate with them. Never saw him. That was it. He stayed with those guys. So Jim never really got to do it.
Yeah. How did you guys come up with casting for that? Because we spoke about all these other guys, but the two main characters, did you have that preconceived, or did guys read for it, or how did you do that?
No, well, the two main guys, Rick Montgomery is the best casting director in town. He's fantastic. He's worked with Pete forever. He just won a big award recently as, caster of the year, casting director of the year, but a super guy. And Pete Farrelly, who just, for some reason, really, I don't know how he thought of it, but he was like Viggo Mortensen. I don't know why. He just saw Viggo. And initially, Vigo's from Denmark, lived in Spain. Doesn't really look that Italian initially. I played Aragon and stuff like that. But we sent him the script, and he loved the script. But he was like, listen, there's great Italian actors. I don't know if I don't want to step on their toes. I speak fluent Italian. He did speak fluent Italian. In fact, his Italian was so good that we had to make sure it was more New York, like second generation Italian.
Yeah.
I mean, because his Italian's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Pete and I drove to his house in Idaho. Pete and I got in a car, and this is from Massachusetts, I might add. We weren't even in California at the time. Drove to his house, Vigo's house in Idaho. Talking the whole way, going over Dr. Shirley's music, talking about the script, everything else. Vigo owns 400 acres in the middle of nowhere. It looks like something out of, a Tolkien. It looks like Lord of the Rings. He's got this cabin that has a tree growing up through the middle of it. And there he is, no shoes on, just as you'd expect Vigo. Great, just great guy. Fingers are dirty from working in the fields. It's great. And we took long walks. We talked a lot about it. And basically, Pete, more than I, because I was just like letting Pete do his thing, talked him, convinced him that you're the guy.
Yeah.
You are the guy.
So he had that kind of foresight.
Yeah. Pete was like, Vigo's the guy, man. He's this generation's Brando. He can do anything. This guy can do anything. Brando wasn't even a time.
You see, that's the kind of movie I thought. Like when I'm watching, I'm going, there's just so much alchemy. Like, and the more you're talking now, the more I can see things fell into place. The stars were aligned from the first, you and Nick at the diner so far to where we are right now. Everything's falling into place. You got to be feeling good right now, right?
Falling into place. Now, Vigo and Mahershala got to know each other well because they were both up for Academy Awards. Vigo for Captain Fantastic, Mahershala for Moonlight. So they were, now that I know about this like campaign and all the tastemakers and all the things for Academy Awards, you run into each other a lot. You spend a lot of time with the other people up for things, and it's quite an enjoyable experience. So they got to know each other very well during that time, and they said, let's see if we can find something that we can do together. It's total coincidence. So now Vigo's like, I'll do Green Book, I love it. And then all of a sudden it was like, Mahershala, I'd love to do something with Mahershala. Mahershala found out and said, wait, who's playing Tony? We said Viggo Mortensen because I love Viggo Mortensen. The guy's the best. And so he came in and said, I want to do it. We wanted to do something. It's coincident. We talked about it 6 months ago, and now, be careful what you ask for. Yeah. We're doing it. And so they both came in.
Does he really play piano?
No, he did a heck of a job making it, though, didn't he?
No, how did you do that? No, tell me how you did that.
Right? Huh?
How did you do that? How did you do those scenes?
Well, this guy named Chris Bowers is a genius piano player. He's and so that's actually Chris doing,
So
not
is that sleight of camera then? Is that sleight of camera then? Is that like a sleight of camera? Because it surely seemed like that was him.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? And that's
really? I mean, yeah, it does.
Isn't it incredible? Yeah, it's actually Chris Bowers is I think literally Pete looked up, not kidding you, best piano player in America. I think that's Googled. I think it was that simple. It's really, and Chris Bowers, a 27-year-old guy, came up, and he came, and I was there the first day they met, Mahershala and Chris, and we went to the Steinway building, in downtown LA, and Mahershala was such a perfectionist. He said, listen, I want to know, obviously I can't learn these songs, obviously, but I'd like to know how to start them, and I want to know how to sit at the piano and like a professional piano player, as Vigo, because he's a great athlete, Mahershala is, and he's like, you can tell an athlete, or you can tell a dancer just by the way they walk across the room.
Yep.
And you can't fake that. A guy, so he said, I want people to think this guy plays the piano. So I want to know the posture. I want to know the hand direction. I want to know the face direction for when I'm playing up here and everything else. So he's just a perfectionist. So Chris Bowers taught him all that. Then Chris played the music, also did the score of the movie. and the rest is history. They pulled it off perfectly. Those guys were hand in hand the whole movie.
You know, so the two main characters, Dr. Shirley and Tony Lip, they're really you're basically telling their story, so that there's no creating characters or adding to a character's persona or anything like that.
Just telling you what happened. We had Tony Lip's tapes, and we had tapes of video. We had also audio and video tapes of Tony Lip. Then we had audio tapes of Dr. Shirley. Also, Nick years ago went to visit Dr. Shirley and asked him about these events. It's a short period of time. And, what can I do? What do you want me to do? Who do you want me to inform? And all these other things. So that's the basis of which we created the two characters, And we tried to stay as true to form as we possibly could.
Okay.
They actually liked each other so much, they went back on the road for another year. They went back on the road after Christmas and continued on that tour.
Wow.
And they liked each other so much that Dr. Shirley asked him if he wanted to do a tour in Europe. And that's what Dolores, the wife, said.
Yeah, that's enough.
Enough fun.
Yeah. It covered so many topics. Obviously race, the homosexuality, just the cultural differences between the two. Like, the one guy being so pristine and educated and this and that, and then Tony Lip was like straight from the street, man. This guy was, but he was an honorable dude, man. He would stand up, man. And that was something that the other guy wasn't. Like, the other guy seemed to be more fearful, and they complemented each other as men perfectly.
Yeah, well, I mean, one guy needed the other, and what's interesting is yes, Tony helped him, saved him in fights and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, Dr. Shirley saves Tony's soul. Really, he changes the whole family. I mean, that's the when you think of who saves who. Yeah, physical saving, that's one thing. But the big change is in Tony's heart. I mean, obviously, as we see from the beginning of the movie, he throws the glasses out. And really, that's the way he was, and the whole family was. He was a product of his times. That's all.
Of his condition. Yeah, right.
And so it's product of his times. That's how everyone grew up. In an Italian neighborhood, it's all about the Italians and everyone else.
Yeah, in 1960, that's the deal. That's how it was. That's authentic.
And yet, at the end, they've grown to really love each other. These two guys, they walk in each other's shoes a little bit. I mean, it's what I was saying. There's no color in foxholes, And once they get down there, they realize they need each other. That's when it starts really jumping. It's like they start appreciating each other. In fact, in the tapes, Dr. Shirley says one of the first things he says on the tapes. Dr. Shirley, the real Dr. Shirley, says, "We didn't have time to be an employee-employer relationship. We had to be friends. I trusted him implicitly. I trusted him with my life. I had to trust him with my life because I'm going down there into the belly of the beast, and it was a baptism by fire for both of them."
But there were a couple of lessons that Tony taught him. The doctor.
Yeah.
At the end, when they were in that room together, right? And he said, maybe you should contact your brother. And he goes, yeah, well, he knows where to get me. And he goes, the world is full of lonely people afraid to make the first move. That was like a really profound. And he would just sit there and busted. He
was single-minded on his craft. I mean, obviously, he was a guy that was a genius. I mean, really, honestly, what's interesting? A guy who's that smart, a guy who's that intellectual, for him, the world must seem like it's a slow motion. He speaks 8 languages. He's got 3 doctorates. I mean, we can't even imagine how sharp that guy is on a daily basis.
Are you saying I don't identify with that?
No, I knew you would. That's right. That's what I meant. And so, he was, in many sense, it was all about career and perfection and piano. And Tony's the opposite. He's all about eating and smoking and street smarts. And you get those two guys together. What's interesting? and this is the genius of Mahershala Ali. Not only did he encapsulate that perfectly, but for the first week of shooting, we shot just car scenes. So it was Vigo up front, Mahershala in the back. They didn't even do scenes facing each other for the first week. So they really got to, and they say this, they had to listen to each other. And Vigo didn't have a rearview mirror. It looked like he did. That was actually a camera. So they never saw each other, even though they were in the same car shooting for the first week. So they really became attuned to each other's way of speaking. And they said that was a happy accident that they got to know each other so well by looking at the back of his head, but just listening to him and listening to each other and catching things like that. It's all part of the acting thing, right? I mean, they love each other. Those guys are great. I hope they do something else in the future. That's all I can say.
Yeah, the chemistry's certainly there, man. There's no doubt about it. There were so many other things, and this is one that I really wanted to talk to you about. Is some of the most profound scenes didn't have any dialogue. They were subtle moments, but they literally hit you like they pierced you. The first one was when he first accepted the job, and they brought the doctor's bags down, and they were on the sidewalk, and he looked at the valet, and the valet looked at him, and it's like not a word was said, and they're just like, I ain't touching them. I ain't picking those bags up. I told him I ain't shining your shoes, man. And
by the end, what's interesting? By the end, he'd do anything with a guy, picking up his luggage.
They earned that from each other.
Oh,
they each helped each other the way they could. That was it was cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, initially he sees the blanket going on the guy's lap, and he's like, what's going on, in front of him. Now, the second time, he's eating the chicken, and he's going, I don't get any chicken on my blanket. He says, oh, your blanket. He's making fun of it, right? By the end of the movie, the blanket's covering Tony.
Yeah.
And keeping him warm,
in the back of the car. Yeah.
It's one of those things where, and Mahershala, I mean, Dr. Shirley is handing him his luggage, going, here, Merry Christmas. It's almost like they've come full circle where he's driving Tony around and giving him his bags and saying, like, you know what, now we're friends. Now we're friends. I mean, I always thought of it this way. At a certain point in the movie, they were both colorblind, and the respect where Dr. Shirley wasn't helping Tony, a white guy, write letters to his wife. He was helping a friend write letters to his wife. You know what I mean?
Yes, at that point, yes.
And Mahershala and Vigo wasn't helping an African-American guy in a fight. He was helping a friend. He's like, what? You can't eat here? Oh, you guys are pushing my friend around? At some point in time, they just became friends, and color didn't make a difference,
Right. And that was really made clear at the very end when he goes, when they were having that argument with that maitre d' or whatever from that last place they were in. And he said,
right.
It's your call. Do you want to, you want me to play? I'll play. Let's get the fuck out of here.
Right. Yeah. And he was like, he's finally like, I can't take it anymore. I can't understand what's going on here. I mean, what my friend is not allowed, not my black friend, my friend isn't allowed to eat here. How can you do that? I mean, they were colorblind at that point. And
but that was also after Vigo was
how good were the, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Finish. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, and I just enjoy, how enjoyable is it to watch those guys at the Orangeburg, huh? Those two actors at the Vigo. I mean, how effortless did they make?
Dude, it was like a ballet. I don't, without sounding corny, they were like they were in such sync. They just were. It was just the chemistry, the outcome. It was on. It was there. It was obvious.
Yeah, I can't even go on to how much I respect those two guys. And not only their professionalism, but you cannot get two nicer guys, and I mean that wholeheartedly. I wouldn't say it. I mean, I just wouldn't say anything about the guys. Those guys are like family to me. I really love those guys, and they love each other. It's great. It was a great experience.
Early in the movie too, when Dr. Shirley was up on that balcony in Pittsburgh, or should I say Pittsburgh? He was just sitting there by himself. starting to drink, and it just, again, you just saw the loneliness that, the
And you get
isolation.
Tony's perspective, who's as we've all been. You always take that journey when you don't know what's going to be like. And, he's just having a cigarette at the balcony. And he kind of gets what everything's going on down there. The two guys are going to have fun at the pool, and they're going to be doing their thing. And they got their own reasons for taking this trip. And that's what they do. They're in their own car. They're in their own world. And you got Dr. Shirley, who's by himself, thinking about life and the pressures of life and having cocktails. And then you got Tony up there smoking a cigarette, just saying, all right, I get it. This is how this trip's going. You know what I mean? I just want to know how my guys are.
He smoked more than he ate, Tony Lip.
Oh, you know what's funny? First of all, Tony Lip really did. And he ate a lot, too. But in real life, smoked incessantly. But Vigo, to get into character, I thought he was going to have emphysema by the end of it. He smoked. He's such a great actor. He was just smoking the whole time, eating incessantly. During that chicken scene, he ate 15 chicken breasts. 15. During the hot dog scene, he ate, just a double scene, he ate 18 hot dogs to get it right. 18. And he gained 45 pounds for the role.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he got, by the way, he's doing his next movie called Falling up in Toronto right now. He directed. It's going to be great. He's directing it. He wrote it. It's a beautiful piece of work. And he's lost his 45 pounds and looks like, the handsome guy that he is.
That other scene, too, when they were at the red light and the doctor was in the back and he's just sitting there and that young couple pulls up next to them. And he's not even acknowledging that they exist, but he knows he's being stared at and he just flips them off. It was brilliant.
Yeah.
Not a word. Again, not a word.
Yeah, well, that was just, we figured that was a microcosm of what he got across the whole country of the stares. And when they said, how are we going to encapsulate it in a small scene of how many people looked over and laughed or gave him a hard time or, so we figured that's just a way to sum all that up with, a nice little thing.
It totally, it did capture that, and he did it in that, like that natural, nonchalant way. Like, he feels it and the light changes.
I got it.
It was brilliant.
And, and Dr. Shirley's like, come on, Tony, let's just keep going. He walked the walk of Dr. Shirley, who was just such a sophisticated guy. And I watched now there's more of him on YouTube and stuff like that. It's just a class act.
I thought he taught Tony stuff too, because like during the dice game again at the beginning, and he goes, "They have to do that. You don't."
He's gambling all the time, Tony. Until that scene that really happened, it was like, "Hey, what are you doing? I'll give you money if you need money." It's funny. It's more fun to win it. No, and then that transaction of they didn't have a chance. They're out there because they need to be out there. They can't be allowed.
That's a really good point because he was so childlike. Like even with The Rock.
He goes,
do you feel better now? He goes, you took all the fun out of it. When he had,
Right.
He goes, to steal it is, that's why I did it. That's what I do. Mind your fucking business.
Did you get a little kick? Did you get a kick out of him when you saw that he didn't,
I knew he didn't put
it was too
back.
easy if he just gave the Rock back, right?
Yeah, but that. No, I knew that, man. I related. Let me tell you something, Brian. I related with too much of this movie, man.
That's funny.
The profound scene again with no dialogue was when the car overheated and they both got out of the car and all the sharecroppers are out there.
That scene was written initially. We were going to have one line in it because it's a visual medium. Movies are a visual medium, and if you can convey something without dialogue, I always say I like that. And you really didn't need to speak. Now, initially, at the end of the whole thing, when he shuts the door, we had initially Tony look back and go, "Man, I've never seen nobody like you." And shut the door. And then we said, you know what? You don't even need that. You get it. You get the whole thing just by watching those guys. And so silence is golden. Just let everyone, soak it in the movie theater of some silence and notice that scene. And, it's funny. Jim Burke, great guy, one of the producers of the movie, he was at Focus Features when this initially was at Focus. And he was saying how that scene was one of the reasons why he bought the script to start with, because he just loved the look of that scene and the thought behind it,
So many of those nuances really helped this piece just flow. And then there was another character too, by the way, was that Russian guy, the cello player.
Great, what a great, oh, like, what a great actor, Dimitri. He's a great guy and a great actor and a professional musician. So very rarely do you get a guy with that much talent. And, like, hold it, he checks all the boxes, right? Every box. He's a great actor. He's a beautiful musician. He's a beautiful musician.
Really?
And he gets it, he's a good actor. I mean, you get the whole 9 yards. Great guy.
Well, I thought he had
And Mike Hatton played the other thing. Mike is a stand-up comic. He was in Second City. Great guy, great actor, funny bastard, and just was winging it. But he taught himself to look like he was doing it. And what a guy, what a funny guy. Just you can tell he's this funny guy, just the way he delivered that line when Tony says, if they try to pull that out, how shit with me, I'd pitch right in the living room, whatever he says. And then and Mike goes, don't do that.
Yeah.
Like,
that was
his
great.
timing, even though it's a little line, it's funny,
I thought the Russian guy, the cello player, had the line of, if you want to give one quote to take away from the movie, I thought his line in the last scene in that restaurant.
When they don't play. The one when they don't play.
Right. When he said,
with the Christmas tree behind it.
Genius is not enough. It takes courage to change people's hearts.
Right.
Profound.
That sums up Dr. Shirley. The guy, because the guy says, you wonder why, you ask why he's not up north, just playing concerts and getting his rear end kissed. Because he wanted to, he got to show it. He's going to get out there. Think of the guts. I mean, it's funny. Who liked our movie? Quite a few guys liked it that I respect greatly. Quincy Jones and Harry Belafonte. And both those guys knew Dr. Shirley, and they loved the movie. And they said, we went down there with bands of bunches of guys, and we were, on our toes because it was dangerous. He goes, Don Shirley used to go down there just with Tony, or just by himself. And think of the guts it takes. Who knows? It's interesting. I'll tell you something, Scott. I was with Tony Left's son, Nick, one of the writers on the producer. Great guy. We were in a car, and our GPS got us into a swamp somewhere. We didn't know where the heck we were. It was getting dark. We didn't know where we were. And Nick said, we stopped, and we said, go over to that cabin, or get over the house, and ask directions. And I got about halfway up the driveway in the swamp area. I'm like, no, I can get blasted off the porch here. I don't know where I'm at. I'm in the real deep south. I'm in a swamp area. I went back in the car. I said, Nick, too dangerous, man. Let's just keep going. We'll find our way out. And Nick had a thought. He goes, you know what? Now picture my father and Dr. Shirley doing that in 1962. No GPSs.
You can't even comprehend it. Right?
Right.
It's unbelievable what they had to go through. It's remarkable. But I tell you what, the good doctor, he did know his back was covered.
What was that?
By the time that first run was over, he did know at that time his back was covered because Tony stepped up every time.
Yeah, he did. I mean, he if you listen to the tapes, and there's still some tapes are online of both those guys. And you know what? Tony knew he had Dr. Shirley's physical well-being in his hands, and he took that very seriously. He was nervous. He was like, Jesus, we can get killed down here, and I'm going to try to do everything I can to protect him, that way. And at the same time, Dr. Shirley's teaching him how to write letters and speak. He actually taught him how to speak. I mean, he actually says it in the real tapes. Dr. Shirley says, I couldn't understand him. He got this big Italian jaw, and he'd mumble his words. And I'm like, Tony, we're going to pronunciate. We're going to teach you how to be polite. Because Tony, when he would ask directions, he would just yell out of the car, going like, Pittsburgh Forum. He'd just scream out the car, and the guy goes, 3 lights, take a left. And Dr. Shirley would go, that's not how you ask directions, Tony. You ask directions. Excuse me, sir, roll down the window. Excuse me. Could you please tell me how to get to the Pittsburgh? And like Tony said, what difference does it make? I just want time to get there. The guy knows what I'm talking about. But by the end of the trip, Tony was rolling down the window going, "Excuse me, can you get me please to the elevator?" So, boy, they learn off each other. Beautiful to see, and a hopeful ending,
How did you get Sebastian Maniscalco in that part? I mean, was there an objective to put him in that role?
You know what? We wanted someone with a great sense of timing and a great sense of humor and, great stage presence. And it's funny, talking about paying off, because little thing, besides just doing a great job acting-wise, and, don't get much more Italian than he.
Yeah,
but also,
no doubt.
For things like little things that I just crack up watching that we did not write that he added to it would be things like when he's in the hot dog contest and he's screaming at him. He's just screaming. It basically in the script it's just like cheering him on.
Embarrassing yourself in front of your son.
He's like Brady. He's going like the baby
screaming at the top of his lungs.
Yeah, like you're embarrassing your son. That kind of stuff. That's all him. And also, something funny, which was when the guy at the end when the door knocks and it's the actual pawn shop guy. Yeah. It's the pawn instead of you think it's probably Dr. Shirley. It's the pawn shop guy, and we just let Sebastian say whatever the heck he wants there, and he's like, "You came. I was kidding." That's all. He's like, "I was kidding." And he said, "For the wife, you brought the wife." And then he turns around and he goes, "And he brought nothing. Who brings nothing at Christmas?" That's just him talking. And he's a great guy, and just a fun guy.
Yeah.
Can't speak highly enough about him. That guy is just great. And for a guy who can fill out Madison Square Garden 5 nights in a row,
unbelievable.
He's also a humble, and a hard worker. No complaints, shows up, never off, always on. He's just a super guy. Can't speak highly enough about the guy. Really, honestly, great. And I met his wife. She's beautiful. I think they're having another kid, which is fantastic. It's great.
Like, how did you get the moniker Tony Limp? And he goes, because I'm the best bullshitter in the Bronx.
Right.
He goes,
that's true.
Why do you take pride in being a liar? I don't lie. I bullshit. I get people to do things that, that was like, that's the real take on that. Like, don't call me a liar. I'm a bullshitter. Like, he defended
bullshitter.
Yeah.
Right. And then Dr. Shirley says something on the idea of, are you proud of that? He goes, "You got me this job, right?"
Yeah, right. Zing, zing, zing. And he thinks he's getting somewhere. He's just not getting anywhere with the doctor.
Right.
He's convincing himself that this is great, but yeah, so that kind of stuff was profound. That interaction was absolutely profound. But then with the gun, when they were in that bar, and he, you don't really know if he has the gun because he doesn't tip that card at all.
Right. It's interesting. The line, it's funny. The line that Vigo says, which is when the guy goes, he goes, "Let him go, asshole, now." And then the guy says, say it nice. And then he goes, "I just said it nice." That actually, I witnessed my father saying that to a bunch of motorcycle guys. I was back in Boston. We had a family picnic and a bunch of, real, interesting looking motorcycle guys pulled up. Bikers, and probably in a gang. I'm sure they were, and came up and grabbed the plate and went in line to eat. And my old man, he's got the spatula in his hand. My old man didn't suffer many fools. He was not the most easygoing guy on the planet. And all of a sudden, he's giving my aunt, an egg. He was actually a breakfast. An aunt's an egg, and he's giving me a thing. And all of a sudden, there's two, guys in leather outfits, back in. And he goes, "Hey, you two, get the hell out of here!" Like this. He got the spatula in his hand. We're all. And they said, "Say it nice." And he goes, "Oh, I just said it nice." And I was like, "You know what? I'd love to be able to put that in a movie someday," because the guys left. And I was like, and Vigo delivered it nicely. It was good.
When they were in jail, and that really that's a true story about with Kennedy?
Yeah.
Reaching out to Robert Kennedy, huh?
It was right. It's interesting. Robert Kennedy is actually the guy that called the jail. And we kind of switched it around for a bunch of different creative reasons. But it was actually Robert Kennedy himself who called the jail, yeah.
Wow. By the way, I remember you as having the best JFK impersonation of all time.
He's been a great help in gaining support. Yeah. Well, yeah, yeah. Well, no, it's... I said this funny. I was at a wedding the other day. I was dancing with somebody. And I said, a couple more cocktails, I start dancing exactly. You're gonna think I'm Teddy Kennedy. Teddy Kennedy. I figured I'm not even going for it. I even going to go for Teddy.
Whenever you do that, you got to just carry a neck brace with you just in case.
Just in case.
Just in case.
You never know what you need. It was one in the trunk. Everyone should have one.
Yes.
That happened. He actually punched a cop for that and got himself in big trouble. And actually, Dr. Shirley, in a later interview, which I listened to, explains that situation of Bobby Kennedy calling and stuff like that. So. But anyways, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
It was the end of the movie when they get pulled over in Maryland. Who was that guy?
Yeah. Who's that guy?
Who is that man?
That's yours truly, my friend. Yeah, it's funny. When I wrote that scene, I had, it wasn't to write a scene to put me in it. That's for sure. But what happened is, there are fantastic cops, and then there are not fantastic cops. And I was saying to myself, they get pulled in so many times during this trip. There were car troubles, and the car got flat tires. In reality, speaking on the tapes and stuff, I figured, well, let's do a situation where there's a good cop, because there were plenty of good cops along that trip as well. And so and then when it came time for doing the role, I said to myself, what, I can do that. I played him, my friends along the way who were writers and producers used to always go, Brian, we got a cop role, and I'd do it, whether it's Con Air. I was a cop in Con Air. I'm a cop in more things. So I did it, and, it's funny. I did it, and it came out. It was the shortest day of by the way, the saddest day of the shoot, because we did it pretty good. We did it pretty quick. And I tap on the car, and I go, all right, Merry Christmas, whatever the heck I said.
Right.
And I walk away, and out of the blackness behind the monitors and everything, Pete Fairley goes, geez, that was pretty good, right? And I go, maybe I should be a cop. And he says, it's not too late. So he's speaking to my acting ability. But it worked out great. There was real snow, so it was not easy driving those cars. And it was one take when the car stopped to get it in focus, and we did it. And it was very cold out, very cold at night. And Mahershala, because of camera, he had a, in the back, when I'm looking at him, I'm actually looking into a camera. But I had to hear him. So Mahershala would get outside the door and crouch down next to the door in the snow. And I'd be speaking into the camera, directly into the camera, as if it were he. And he would answer from the other side of the door in the snow, freezing his tail off. And, not a complaint out of him, obviously. He's just a super guy, just saying.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I really appreciate it. And we all worked, try to work our way up in Hollywood and everything else. And so I'd like to think this is a win for all the guys that out there that, all of us, that just, just sometimes the guy who hangs on the longest. And you bust your tail and you trust in the good people. And I got, it's interesting. I had, before the Academy Awards, I make sure that I get everyone's text out of the way. Like, I'm going in, and good luck, thank you. And so I had zero texts going into the Academy Awards. 20 minutes after I won, I had 539 texts. 530, how do you get 530? That's how many people, good guys like you and friends from home and guys from grammar school and just great people legitimately saying, congratulations, you worked hard. I got to ask this guy before we finish this up, because I know we are. What does EDS mean, by the way? I keep looking at.
Oh yeah.
I don't even know what that is. What is EDS?
That's Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. That's this little girl. I'm going to be doing this documentary on this little adorable little girl and a Russian girl who's over in Germany now having these surgeries. This is the condition she has. I'm just finding out so much about it, and it's just going to be such an uphill climb and such a road ahead for her. And some things, they just catch you, man. And this is, it's I'm going to find out. I'm going to do whatever I can do to help them out, and it's a devastating thing to so many, kids born with it.
Right, what's your name?
Little Sophie. Sophie.
Yeah. I will say this, Scotty. You're a good man. I remember you and I speaking while my mother was in serious trouble with Alzheimer's. You and I spoke in Peabody. We came down to Marriott in Peabody and stayed there for a while. And we were speaking about, the weightlifting for the kids with Down syndrome.
Yeah.
And you know what? You're a good man. You spend a lot of time. I know you're a humble guy and you don't speak about these things, but I'll speak for you because when I saw all the work you did for those guys and the videos and things like that, my hat's off to you, man. You're a compassionate guy. For a guy with a rough exterior, you got a heart of gold.
Listen, you know what, dude? Thank you, but your example, with all sincerity, you worked really hard, man. You always did. You wrote. You diligently did your work. You did all the legwork, So if somebody wants to say this was an overnight success, it literally was 30 years to make this night. But you did the work. See, when they say luck is preparation meeting opportunity, and you were prepared, and that's why you are where you are.
I appreciate
I failed at that, by the way. That doc I was trying to do. I failed. I couldn't get it done. I have all this footage and some really great stuff, but I couldn't do it. I didn't.
Fantastic, Tommy. It's fantastic stuff. And that's a project down the line because it's a story about people who sacrifice. It's interesting. I learned through my mother's illness and Alzheimer's, and the people that take care of sick people with zero. Really, your reward is a hug or the love you get from that other person. But I love. There's a saying that I love. It's called "True bravery is without witness."
Yeah.
And you do it because you care for your fellow human being. The person may forget that you did that. They may not even know you did.
That better not be your intention.
You just do it because it's the right thing to do. And you are one of those guys, my friend, and my hat's off to you, and I appreciate it.
Well,
You're
thank
a good
you.
Man.
We just know that wasn't always the way. It wasn't.
Hey, you know what? There's 9 innings in every game. There's 9 innings in every game, my friend.
You know what? I was gonna shoot this post from over in Munich, right? Saying, I don't know, maybe I'm not out of shape. I don't know. But I'm getting run into the ground by a 2-year-old in a full body cast. It's so humbling, man. But when you see somebody really dealing, and with something real, they're just dealing. They don't have a choice. They deal or they don't deal. So we're outside, we think whatever. And I always make to think of the years that I threw away, gave away. Like with those Special Olympics kids, I'm smoking angel dust, thinking I'm paying some asshole money so I can get like these guys are now, who are just fighting to complete a sentence and get a thought out. And I can do that, and I'm like, what am I thinking? And when I look back, I still don't have an answer to that. What was so bad? That's the root. You think?
Well, I'll tell you, Phoenix from the fire, my friend, and we've had this conversation many times of how you overcame some difficult situations, as far as you had some problems, and the fact that you're turning all that into good right now, like I said, we're in the back nine. We're in the back nine of life. I think it's going to be a great back nine for you.
Yeah. Well,
maybe we're on the 13th hole. We're on the 13th green, actually. We're about the 13th green of the back nine.
You're being
and
nice.
You know what? It looks like you. The first one was a public for both of us. Maybe the next 9 is country club. Who knows, right?
Listen, when I first, Danny, our mutual friend Danny, was the first one that told me about this. I had no idea this was even a concept. I knew nothing. And then all of a sudden, I'm watching the momentum of this thing go, and you win the Golden Globe, and I'm like, screenwriter. Then the Oscars come up, and I'm like, I'm not hearing the buzz for the Best Picture. Like, I'm not hearing it. When that came in, I'm like, this is, wow, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
And
you
the
know what's
screenplay.
Scott?
I mean, how great is that?
It's really great. And I will say this. They try to turn it into a competition, and of course, because that's just, this is life. But all the people involved in the lead up, the campaign, whatever you want to say, we have the opportunity to go to England, to go to Louisiana, to go to the Gold Globes, to go to film festivals, with all these other filmmakers, and they're very nice, and they're all looking just to make the best film. And as much as they make it seem like a competition from the press standpoint or from whatever standpoint, the sit down with the writers and the producers and the directors of all these other movies and doing the Q&As,
the other nominated movies, you mean? You mean the other movies that were nominated along with you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get what happens when they start whittling it down with film festivals and things and gold. You start you start seeing, who's it's going to get whittled down to so many movies. How many? 10? I don't know what's going to happen. And then you go to the BAFTAs, and then you go to the Golden Globes, and you're all in the same rooms, and you're having dinner together, and you start mixing, and then you realize, you know what? We're all looking for the same thing. We're all trying to make the best movie we can. These people were fantastic people. It's anybody's guess how it's going to go. We were lucky enough to win, and I appreciate that so much. But you know what? There is legitimate. I mean, I remember Bo Burnham won the Writers Guild Award for best screenplay for eighth grade. I couldn't have been happier for the guy. You always want to win, but you know what? There's a great guy right there who busted his tail and did a fantastic job. And I want to tackle the guy and hug him. He's like, great job, man. And he's the same way. He's like, congratulations. So many congratulations from the other people involved. It was a heck of a journey, Scott. Let me tell you that. And I'll never forget the other guys and the other filmmakers as well as ours. It just became one gigantic wagon of creative, nice people, And I'm happy to say I'm a member of the PGA. I'm happy to say I'm a member of the WGA.
You won the fucking Oscar. Happy to say that,
Yeah, well, I'm not complaining about that.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate your humility too, but I mean, it's so nice to be able to congratulate you on a victory right now because for all the work you've done.
I appreciate that. Scott, I appreciate that. I pinch myself. Sometimes I wake up because what happened is, at the Kodak Theater, they put out almost immediately, the same night, I think, maybe the same night. You see, the best pictures, and you see Gone with the Wind and Godfather and Patton.
Has that sunk in?
Yeah, it sunk in when I saw it. I also see this like, hold it, there's Lawrence of Arabia, and there's also screenplay. It's like, wow, holy smokes.
That is, man, yeah. I didn't even think that.
Well, Sonny,
man, wow.
I appreciate this opportunity to speak about the movie. I love. I've watched some of these videos. You get some great guests, my friends. Who's the next one? Who's the next one?
Stanley Jordan.
Oh, really?
31st.
Oh, congratulations, man! I'm telling you. When is this? When do you make? When do you suddenly have your own TV show? Soon? You should. You're a character.
It's fun, man. It's fun. It's nice to have this conversation with you. It's nice to have conversations. I'm blessed, man, to be able to have this conversation, that conversation, and you got to get. I think.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you what. You make you set a good mood for a good conversation. It's not. I wish everyone was that kind in these games. Let you talk and ask the questions and believe the answers, and I appreciate that. You're very, very good. You're a good interviewer, Scotty. So I see big things, my friend. I see big things down the line. Don't forget the small guys once you become Johnny.
Yeah. Oh.
All right. Hey, well,
listen.
I appreciate it. You've been awesome.
Give my best to Nick and Pete Farrelly, who I don't know. I mean, I know Nick, who he is. I don't know him as a friend. I know you, but I know you guys all collaborated and you share in the glory of doing such a great piece of work. So, congratulations! Yeah,
I'll tell Pete. I mean, Pete will probably watch this as well. Couldn't be a nicer guy. One of the most loyal guys you'll ever see. That's why you see so many of the same guys in all his movies. He and Bobby and his sisters. I mean, just really nice. I mean, they're a joy to be around, and it makes you work harder. And it makes you appreciate what we do out here.
This has now redefined you. Like this, this changes things. I said, this guy is just one of these guys. Good luck finds this guy. And the thing that stood out most, and I just want you to tell the story because I just love the story, man. But was it 2004? Yankees, Red
What in
Sox.
2000? Oh,
I'll
yeah.
set the stage.
Right.
That's as far as I'll go. But
No.
just tell that
Okay.
story because that's
It's
that's
funny,
one you can't make up.
Yeah, Peter and Bobby Fairley, who always like called me up when they were doing something, whether it be stuck on you or me, myself, and Irene. They go, hey Brian, what are you doing? Come on in, say a line, say something funny. Maybe you can, maybe you won't. So they were at Fenway Park doing fever pitch, and I just so happened to show up to the stadium where they're shooting in Fenway Park, and and they go, get up there in the stands, sit behind Drew Barrymore and Jimmy Fallon and say something funny. Because it's something like the umpire just says, I made a bad call, so say your mother wears army boots or say something like that. So I screamed out, get off your knees, you're blowing the game, right? And it ended up making the movie, which is pretty funny. So at the end of it, it was the Sox were just in the throes of things in the World Series, going in the playoffs, and the Yankees came in town. They beat the Red Sox like crazy. It was like 14-6. It was a blowout, and Scotty Rosenberg and I were talking to Pete and everyone else. We got to know some of the brass, Warner and what have you, and so they said, hey, you guys, want to go to the game tonight? Because let's face it. It's game 4.
You're down 0-3. You're thinking this is a ticket nobody wants.
Nobody wants it,
right?
So they go, and by the way, sit in the owner's box, whatever you want.
And also, it's been how many decades now?
It's since 1918.
The losing streak is still going. Right?
It's still going. And it's going to be yet another. Scotty and I always used to go to Red Sox games together and then cry in our beer as they would lose an important game. And if it was at Yankee Stadium, we'd watch it on TV together and then cry in our beers when they lost at Yankee Stadium as well. So either way, we were used to it. We were ready for it. But, it's a part of history, and we'll watch them get swept and deal with it like we always deal with it.
Right.
So we go, and tremendous game, obviously. One of the longest games in playoff history. And they win, and Ortiz is a hero. And the owners come up to Scotty and I and say, hey, listen, don't change your clothes. Same seats. You want them. I mean, the best seats. Owners box, front, overlooking everything. It was, come on. There's no way they wanted to do it. But all of a sudden, it's like, if you guys sit right there, we'll let you do it again. So we go, yeah, we'd love to do it again. So next game, we're both sitting there, figuring this is over. Extra innings. That became longer than the game prior. Another Ortiz miracle. So always we're like, well, that was fun. We got to see these 2 games. Now they get to lose in the Yankee Stadium, and that's it. The owners come up and go, hey, listen, seats, Yankee Stadium, you guys, come on. You got to go. Don't change. Don't do nothing. Don't shave. Nobody move. Scotty and I like, holy, because after the games, then we'd go back into the club. It would be, we were up there partying. So we're tired. How do these guys even play? Scotty, and we got to do it. Obviously, we got to do it. We get ourselves up to Yankee Stadium. Awesome seats. It was that one game where A-Rod with the batted the ball out. We were right next to first base.
Yeah.
People are raining beers down on us. We were getting soaked. It was a fiasco.
Yeah. But
they won the game, and of course the Red Sox guy said, "Listen, obviously you have tickets to the next game."
Yeah.
They beat them, and I hate to say it, Scotty, but you know how it went. They beat the Yankees. We figure the whole show's over. It's done, right? You get the call. Hey, guys, you haven't changed yet. You haven't shaved yet. Now we're getting a little rank. Same seats, owner's bar. Tom Hanks' seat was behind us. We were in front of him. It was like, you guys just change. Okay, so we do it. 2 games against St. Louis. So we're up 2-0. And they say, here's the thing. Hotel now. Fly to St. Louis. St. Louis, stay at the hotel with the Sox. If you want to come down the field with Pete Fairley, you want to come down the field if they win this thing. And, they win it. We're right there for the whole thing, which is insanity. And we're partying now. And it's the end. We're in the hotel with all the owners and the people going wild. The team, everyone's going wild. It's 2 a.m. We're dying. We won the World Series. It's a miracle. we've been to all these games. We're exhausted. Scotty and I are exhausted. And as we're walking back to the room, one of the owners says, "Hey, fellas." Yeah, we turn around. Like, what could he possibly say now? He's like, "April 19th, ring ceremony. You got to be there." I'm like, holy God. It still hasn't ended. It still hasn't ended. And they've been nice enough since then. If we call last minute for a game, by the way, every time they still, by the way, Scotty and I, and we very rarely take advantage of it, but we call the same guy, and we go, "Listen, Troop." Then it's Troop. That's not his real name, but it's his nickname. It's Brian Scotty. We're in town. Any shot of getting a ticket to the game tonight? What do you want to be? You want Green Monster? You want to be behind the plate? With every single time in every game they have won. And it's still the joke continues. So it's been fun.
You know what? You know where I was during that? The Yankees were up 3-0, and I bet Danny. What? Double or nothing on something. I said sweep. I predicted the sweep, the 4-game sweep.
Yeah, because the other was in 14-6. It was done. It was over.
But I went into rehab that day after Game 3. I went into rehab again. So then when I came out, now I owed him because it was this reverse sweep. And I'm like, wait a minute, man. I just pleaded. I never said it. I was, hammered. I just I don't know what I was saying. But then, like a year or two later, my brother was driving Poppy. And
what was that?
My brother was driving Big Poppy one day, driving him, on some appointments and stuff. So he told me he's got Big Poppy. I go, "You gotta let me know." And I went to like a Toys R Us and I got this like little like action figure of Big Poppy.
Yeah.
And I'm waiting for where my brother's like, we're doing walkie talkies, like I'm gonna sneak up on him, and he gets to the hotel where he's gonna drop him off, and I just parked right behind it. I jumped out, double parked in the city. And I jump out, and I didn't, he ain't that big, and I fucking towered over him, man. And he was just like, I totally caught him off guard. I just put the pen in his hand. He was like, "You scribbled some shit, man." It was the funniest thing. You would have laughed so hard because, like a grown man just like fucking forcing his will on Big Poppy. But it was for Danny because I owe Danny, I mean.
Yeah. Hey, who's better than Danny? By the way, make sure next time you see Danny, tell him I said hi.
Yeah.
I'll talk to Danny. Next time you talk to Danny, right?
I talk to Danny a lot. He's a good man.
Yeah. Is he still in Vegas, probably?
Yeah.
No kidding. Wow. Next time I'm out there, I'll give him a call.
Yeah.
Well, Scotty, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
You are the best.
Thank you. Stay in touch, man. And listen, good luck with whatever's coming up from here, man. Keep rolling.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Peace.
Bye-bye.
All right.